Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It's 6:06. It's O'Connor and Company. Thanks for tuning in here. A busy Monday morning, but every day is busy at this point. You're used to that, to just buckle up and enjoy the ride. Coming up at 7:05, Joe DeGenevo will make it all make sense. 7:35, he's now officially your Republican nominee for Congress, John McGuire. He won the last recount there against Bob Good. 8:05, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker. And at 8:35, to give us a recap on the Olympics, Matt Bonesteel, Washington Post. We're midway through the Olympics, right? Or about a week
think
left
so.
or something. Yeah. It's Larry O'Connor with Julie Gunlock.
Good morning.
I mean, Julie, you know, beauty pageants are like the Olympics, but with a talent competition and question and answer. But other than that, the similarities are the same. You got men competing as women.
Right.
And, you know, they raised the age limit this year
have
for
they?
the first time. So,
Really?
So women of a certain age could participate. There used to be a
Doug
cutoff.
Emhoff wasn't watching.
No, exactly. What does he care? Although I'm told that none of the elderly women, you know, like in their 30s, made it to the top 10 in the pageant. That's pretty much all I know. And the dude competing as Miss Maryland did not make the finals.
Did he
right?
hit anyone?
We're not sure. Okay. Let's ask Silvie Rivera. She'll know. She's not only a super fan of WMAL and the grand dame of the Real Housewives of WMAL Facebook page, but also she's kind of obsessed with pageants, and we love her for it. Silvie, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, guys. How's everything going?
Great. So, and you were watching the pageant there on the CW, I guess it was?
I was, you know, Larry, the pageant went back to California, your old stomping grounds of downtown Los Angeles.
Oh, boy.
First time since 2007 that it goes back to its original home state. And yes, I watched the pageant. I also watched Miss Teen USA, which took place in the same theater on Thursday, and that was exciting. And Alma Cooper, 22 years old, from your home state of Michigan, won the crown.
Aww.
She's an Afro-Latina, a 22-year-old, an officer in the U.S. Army.
Wow.
Also graduated from West Point Academy and also has her master's degree in data science from Stanford University. So very accomplished.
Super smart kid. Wait,
super
and
smart.
She won Miss USA or Miss Teen USA?
Miss USA.
Okay.
So
Miss USA is Miss Michigan. What a year for Michigan.
Exactly.
Wow.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Miss Teen USA is Miss Mississippi, young girl named Addie Carver. So she won Miss Teen USA this past Thursday.
So now I'm curious, how was because how do I put this? Miss USA was always sort of the trashier version of the pageants, right? I mean, Miss America.
You really thought of that? And you came up with trashier
Trashy
version?
was the best I could come up with. That's the nicer way of putting it. No, am I wrong? My impression was always Miss America was like the more stodgy, conservative, sort of traditional. And Miss USA was a little more fun and well, yeah, trashy. Am I wrong, Silvie?
Well, no, And it used to be fun, Larry. You know, Miss USA and Miss Universe both started in Long Beach as a swimsuit competition back in 1952.
Connect the dots.
In response to its rival, Miss America, because Miss America did not allow swimsuit competitions in their pageants back then. Now, Miss America started in 1921. So that's why Miss USA was created, and Miss Universe, which also was created in Long Beach, California. So I found that this year it was a little robotic in the CW network. It lacked show component. There was no musical act and that glamour and fun and authenticity of the years that I remember as a young little girl watching with my grandma. It lacked that, you know, but there were a few firsts. But first and foremost, Miss USA and Miss Teen USA 2023 both quit their crowns last spring, citing workplace harassment.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And a toxic environment. And Miss USA was dealing with mental health issues stemming from this alleged harassment. So we were going in already with this because management has not changed. That management has remained the same. Still owned by the JKN Group in Thailand, our friend in Thailand, who owns Miss Universe and all the pageants that fall under Miss Universe. As you said in your last segment, Bailey Kennedy Miss Maryland USA was the first trans woman to participate for representing Maryland. She's Asian American, married to an officer in the U.S. Marine Corps.
Yeah.
But she did not make it to the top 20. And one thing that fans noticed was that she hardly received cheers or clapping from the audience during the Parade of State.
Wow, even in L.A.
Yes, even in L.A., right? The ones before her had their segments with their family and friends and, cheering. And she stood there for a few seconds because she thought she was going to get, some cheers and nothing.
Yeah.
So that was a first. But you know what the other first was, guys, which I was floored. There were no blondes in the top 20 this year.
Really?
No blondes. And when you think of American women, the world thinks about this iconic blonde, right, wearing blue jeans, thinking about Beach Boys songs and surfing. Not a one. And that was the first.
That is interesting.
And super diverse, though. Very diverse. At the top 20, we had 9 African-American women, 9 Caucasian, and 2 Latinas and 1 Pacific Islander. So super diverse group. But during the swimsuit competition, which I dubbed the Miss Ozempic segment,
oh my,
was really alarming. And you'll have to look back at the video because there were some women were rail thin, and you could actually see their rib cages moving.
Ew.
Wow.
All right. Well, I wasn't
floored.
getting now I have to for work. I have to watch the swimsuit competition. Thanks, Silvie.
Now, Silvie, quick question. Is there still a question and answer section? Sort of they ask them these sort of political questions. Was there any of that at the?
Yes.
Okay. And any interesting answers from any of the women?
The final question of the top 5 was, how can we bridge the gap between the different cultures and foster understanding and respect? Some of the girls were nervous answering. Miss Michigan answered beautifully, and that's probably what clinched the crown for her. Because these girls are nervous answering these questions because whatever they say will show up in social media if they mess up a question, and it'll be there forever. But one of the funniest kind of things that happened was that Miss Oklahoma said that she works with many cultures in Oklahoma and that we're all American. In the end, we're all American with American values, etc. And I looked at my ex Twitter at the moment, and it was blowing up because people were saying that she was giving off Trump vibes.
Oh,
by saying we're all American at the core.
Weird.
Wow. Listen, if the libs want to accede that message to conservatives, I guess we'll take it. You're right. That's true.
What a monster.
They went in so far as to looking into her social media accounts and seeing that she follows Trump on social media.
Oh, dear.
Well, I mean, being married to a Miss Oklahoma in her own right, Meredith Dake O'Connor, I can say that does kind of go with the brand there. If you're an Oklahoma girl, it's not that hard to connect those dots. But all right, well, so all in all, will you give this a thumbs up in terms of the direction of the pageants? Because I know you've been very concerned about how it's going. It sounds to me like this gimmick that Maryland did with the transgender individual did not seem to take hold or catch fire.
I think they saw their ratings last year, and the ratings were super down, and they decided, let's clean up this act. Also, the fact that both queens last year quit their crowns, Miss USA 2023 and Miss Teen USA 2023, so they wanted to really, dot their I's and cross their T's. I thought it was a pretty good pageant. Looking forward to the Miss Universe pageant, which Miss Michigan will be heading to in Mexico this coming November. As you know, Larry, that I told you last year that I, Silvie from Waldorf, will be participating in the future in a Miss Universe pageant, and we're all going to get a group and go to South America or the Caribbean, wherever it takes place, because I am definitely clinching that crown since they allow older women to participate now.
We're on board. And just like you are always in the front row of the Free Speech Forum, WMAL will be there in the front row for you. We cannot wait. We got to leave it there, though. Thank you. And we'll touch base with you again, Silvie, when it comes to Miss Universe. I don't know. I think Miss Michigan or now Miss USA has a chance there, but my money's always on Uranus. It's 6:17. Let's get to Jamie Whitten. What's the universe?
Got it.
Jamie Whitten's in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
Oh, my God. All right. Oh, Larry. WMAL.
Making sense of the news.
Live.
From the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios.
Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Well, a fascinating development now on the story that we brought you last week, Friday, about the plea deal reached with Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the mastermind of the 9/11 attacks. The commander-in-chief, Joe Biden, overseeing the military, as is the constitutional job there. Of course, we know he's not doing that, so one must assume it was Kamala Harris. Who knows? But there was a plea deal put forth and agreed to in the military tribunal process there for these terrorists of 9/11. Well, over the weekend, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin rescinded the deal. And one is left baffled right now. First, let's cut to the chase. Our enemies are absolutely laughing at us right now around the world. We look like we have no idea what the hell we're doing, and we look like we don't know what we stand for or what we believe and what our principles are. Do you know why? Because that's pretty much the case right now with the leadership in our federal government.
How did this even happen?
And by the way, I love all of the political analysts on the left who were justifying this and defending it. You know, I half expected David French to write the conservative case for giving Khalid Sheikh Mohammed a break.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And now they're all left with their hat in their hand, let's say. It's like, well, now what? Because Lloyd Austin single-handedly rescinded this thing. You would think he would have had to sign off on it before it was publicly announced, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Since it's a military tribunal and this falls under the military, and we assumed that Joe Biden had a hand in the decision in the first place.
And
but
John Kirby would not answer that question.
Not
this
at all.
He was on Fox News, and he was asked straight out, you got the clip.
This week, the Secretary of Defense rescinded the plea deal that would have spared the 9/11 plotters the death penalty. Did President Biden ask him to do that?
This was a decision made by the Secretary of Defense. It was an independent decision by him, certainly within his authorities, as in the chain of command at the Defense Department.
No, that's not an answer to the question, is
No,
it?
it's not.
No.
He has the authority to do that. He did this on his own.
Did the president weigh in?
This was a decision made by the Secretary of Defense.
I didn't hear an answer. Okay.
I
Yeah,
love
you didn't
that.
hear an answer.
I love that. That was great.
Well, and you didn't hear an answer because the president isn't weighing in on anything right now except what flavor ice cream
That's
he
right.
gets. And until we
Yes.
hear otherwise, that's the only thing we should expect. So then the question is, well, it's the Secretary of State. Or I've got a better question. Who the hell is in charge
Who's
right
in charge?
now?
Right.
Who's in charge of agreeing to a plea deal with the most notorious living terrorist attacking America since, Pearl Harbor? Who's in charge of rescinding that deal? I guess we've learned that the buck stops with Lloyd Austin, but that's not true because in the chain of command, he answers to Joe Biden.
Well, and also one of his underlings at the Department of Defense made this deal. He has now fired her. And
Oh, my God, somebody got fired?
yeah, exactly. Somebody got fired. But this is such an embarrassment. The point is that it's public, that we were willing to make the deal. Of
Right.
course, we rescinded it. But the message has been conveyed to our enemies that we're willing to negotiate, even on America's most monstrous enemies. We're willing to do away with the death penalty. It's just shocking.
What does this country stand for? What do we believe? And who is leading us? Who is our head of state? Who's in charge of our military and decisions like this?
And aside from many conservatives, frankly, and the 9/11 families themselves, no one on the left was upset about this. Yeah. No one on the left criticized this.
Well, and that's where we will take a quick moment, if we could, to pat ourselves on the back, not this program or this station, but right-of-center media in general, alternative media, new media, outside of mainstream legacy. Mainstream legacy media, if they had anything to say about this, they supported it.
Yep.
They marched in line.
Or they were silent.
said this is, or they said nothing, and just the the one time they decided to do a just the facts kind of report. From the get-go, right-of-center media said this is an outrage. This is an outrage. We actually, I think we finally got a statement from Deborah Burlingame. She wanted to, fill herself in completely on the issue. She did release a statement and released it to me as well, saying that the families were not consulted, the families of the 9/11 victims. the police officer, all of the interested parties were not consulted. This was shockingly thrown down there. And by the way, at a time where we have a president who is the lamest of lame ducks, this is the kind of thing that's going to happen. But conservative media, we beat the drum. We screamed from the rooftops. We shined light on this. And that's why Lloyd Austin, under pressure, had to reverse this, because he couldn't let this be part of his legacy. So good on you, consumers of right-of-center media. Good job, you, for choosing alternative media sources like ours, because this time we made a difference. It's 6:24.
Now,
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
6:37, O'Connor and Company. Thanks for tuning in here Monday morning, and a busy one at that. Coming up at 7:05, Joe DeGeneva. 7:35, John McGuire, now officially after winning the latest recount against Bob Good, is the the Republican and conservative nominee for Congress in Virginia, too. 8:05 brings us Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker, and at 8:35, Matt Bonesteel of the Post to talk about the Olympics. I'm Larry O'Connor with Julie Gunlock. Morning, Julie.
Good morning.
Now, a little earlier, we spoke about Michaela Montgomery. Again, she was part of the Trump rally in Atlanta, and specifically hit on a lot of issues, but most specifically about all of the media uproar and political analyst uproar over Donald Trump, sort of making that comment at the National Association of Black Journalists about how Kamala Harris is, suddenly first black this, first black. You know why she was the first Indian American U.S. Senator, and they decided to embrace that, right? Because when you're on the left, you must be groundbreaking. You must be a trailblazer. You must be iconic. And when she won the Senate seat in California, it's like, big deal. We've had black senators, we've had women senators, and we've had black women senators. So what's the big deal? Oh, but she's Indian. And it's, she's so iconic. She's right. That's
right.
That's what it was all about.
Yes.
And so so Michaela Montgomery, sort of shined a light on this a bit for Donald Trump.
A few days ago, President Trump said he didn't know Vice President Harris was a black woman. I'm trying to figure out what all the outrage is about, because she's only black when it's time to get elected.
So, see, the media keeps trying to, this is a big deal for them because they think they have yet another, racist. You know why I know this isn't a big deal? Because they have literally called this man Hitler for the last 10 years. They said that they lied and said that Trump thought neo-Nazis and white nationalists in Charlottesville were very fine people, which he never said. Right. But so if they truly believe all of the things that they've said about Donald Trump up until now are true, about him being Hitler and about loving neo-Nazis and about being a fascist and a white supremacist, then this is a pimple on the butt of the narrative they have already built about this man. Why would they make such a big deal about him saying, she's half Indian, she's half black. She also talked about being Indian all the time. Now suddenly she's black. So why are they making such a big deal? They're making a big deal about it because it resonates.
It does.
It means something, actually.
And they are not dumb on that campaign. They know that the leftists are going to react just as predicted, and the mainstream media is. But they know that Black Americans do have some doubt and also kind of resent her for being the chameleon that she is.
That's right.
It's using them. It's using their community.
It works with the black community in that respect. It also works with white voters or non-black voters because it paints the narrative that is appropriate that Kamala Harris is a shapeshifter and she's inauthentic. Look at her laugh. She's inauthentic. That's a phony. Yeah, exactly. Everything about her is phony. That said, I still have the one worry that I mentioned before, which is it's mean. And the white suburban Chardonnay party women
who are mean.
I don't want to be part of the mean group, even though they, in fact, are part of the mean group. Can I tell you that we're going to get to this, so let's take our time. I always rush through these things.
Well, and can I just say the white suburban who it's mean. There was a video that went viral this weekend of a woman, could look like any PTA mom in Northern Virginia, saying, "I wish that Trump had been shot." Right? She basically said, "I wish the shooter had better aim." Right? Yeah. And then the questioner says, "Wait, are you serious?" And she goes, "No, I don't have hate in my heart."
Right?
No, right?
You just want a bullet to go into this man's head.
the way in which these women do gymnastics to get around the monstrosity of saying something like that, and yet they say it. So I just wanted to mention that.
No, you're right. And I listen, I want to play for you this segment that CNN did because they went into a black barbershop. Barbershops are legendary for this is where black men congregate, even if they don't need a haircut. This is a way to, it's sort of their man cave, basically. And they get together and they talk about everything.
Yeah.
It
seems really fun. There's Hollywood movies about barbershops.
That's right. And CNN reporter went in there to talk to them about Kamala Harris. Now, and let me just, because you said this resonates with black voters. This is really a thing. And I want to, a former employee of WMAL here, wonderful woman that we all loved and sadly is not an employee of the company anymore. Her name is Laura. She is Jamaican. She would go back to Jamaica, every year. She used to work in our finance department. You will not find a bigger Trump supporter. This Jamaican woman, Laura, she's fabulous. And we loved her. She was a mascot here. And when I was doing afternoons during the Trump administration, when Kamala Harris was, in the news and everything, she would come into my studio. She would always come in and like yell at me during breaks and stuff, right? And she would say, Kamala's not black, right? Why do you keep saying Kamala's black? Because she has this really thick Jamaican accent, which I am not doing justice to.
Right.
She is not black. She is from Jamaica. Mm-hmm. Now, that is different. You have to understand. It's like, and this is a thing.
It is a thing.
This is a thing in the black community. It's a thing in the Caribbean American. I mean, Patrice made this point on Friday. It's like black, African American, these things mean something in the community.
Well, and it bothers
And whether
people.
you can trace your lineage to being a enslaved person in North America under chattel slavery versus being brought here, yes, from Africa to Jamaica, but you were actually part of a different part of the scene when you were in Jamaica.
One of the best moments ever was a couple years ago at the Olympics. It was literally someone from Guyana or South Africa. They were a black person running, and the American commentator said the African American Guyana, whatever.
Exactly.
I can't remember what country it was from, South Africa, whatever. And they got so tongue tied because African American is just, that's what we call black people,
It's
and
like,
there's a whole lot of other black Americans that do not necessarily identify as African American.
And they don't culturally share the same backstory and the same situation, let alone someone like Kamala Harris. And again, I'm not saying it's inferior or bad. I'm being truthful about the reality. She's doing it out here in these streets kind of talk.
It rubs people the wrong way.
Because she grew up in Montreal, Canada.
In a very nice neighborhood.
A very white neighborhood. Right. Yes, as a half Indian, half black woman, but still, it's like to now embrace this cultural identity is noteworthy, I think. Wouldn't you think it's worth? And so it has been noted since it is noteworthy. But if you do that, oh my God, the media is going insane. You should have seen George Stephanopoulos screaming at Byron Donalds over the weekend. There's nothing like an old white liberal dude yelling at a young black man for asserting his thoughts and beliefs about African-American culture. And you get the white liberal dude yelling at him saying, "How dare you, sir? You can't talk about black people that way." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm in fact a black man." So that whole setup now will bring us to this award-winning, Pulitzer Prize-worthy segment on CNN, where a white man walked in to talk to the black man about Kamala Harris. And what happened next will amaze you. That's coming up in a moment.
WMAL, making sense of mainstream media because the double standard is real. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
So CNN decides to send a reporter to a black barber shop to ask about Kamala Harris. And they're hoping, of course, to get these black men to say, that Trump is so racist.
Right.
For questioning you do not question a black woman's identity.
We can count on these guys.
Yeah.
Right.
So they send this white reporter there, and by the way, he had to be put in costume first. I kid you not.
This is unbelievable.
He's doing the T-shirt sport coat look, which I do sometimes. It's nice. Yeah. The T-shirt is an Air Jordan shirt. Ugh. He's got a Michael Jordan shirt because hey, where are you going today? Oh, to a black barber shop. Here, wear this shirt.
Yeah. Trying so hard.
Oh, Anyway, here's how it went.
Is Kamala going to make you a little more likely or less likely to vote Democrat?
Well, hold on, wait, first, Ray, hold on, Ray. Is Kamala black, yes or no?
I'm going to let her speak on that. But to me, no.
Oh. Is Kamala black, yes or no?
I share that same view.
Wow. Is Kamala black, yes or no?
I heard she was. I heard she's half black and half Asian.
When I played that audio on my SiriusXM radio program on Thursday, many callers who self-identified as African American were quick to tell me that those men were the exception, not the rule. Some described them as low-information voters, no different than you'd find among whites.
Oh, Mike Smerconish, you belong on Sirius XM radio with that kind of reaction. That's Mike Smerconish, the white liberal from Philadelphia.
They're dumb, yeah.
Just so you know, I love that callers who self-identified as black. What does that even mean?
Yeah,
self-identified as black. Said those men are stupid.
That's
if
right.
they think that.
Yeah.
So there you
White
go.
guy with an Air Jordan shirt walking into a black barber shop.
He didn't even ask about the racial identity. The men themselves brought it up. Hold on, before I even answer that question, is she black?
Yeah. Yeah. And then because they didn't say the right thing,
right,
they're stupid.
Smerconish has to lecture us all and say, just so you know,
Just
we know how
astonishing.
dumb these men are, which is almost as offensive as what George Stephanopoulos did to a sitting congressman from Florida, Byron Donalds, who was black. He basically did the same thing, but said, not only are you ignorant, but you're also a racist for questioning whether Kamala Harris. And just quickly on this, setting aside the race part of it, it is weird, isn't it? And I want to be clear, I'm not questioning Kamala Harris's loyalty to America or anything stupid like that. I am just pointing out.
That's why I'm
here. I'm pointing out that there is an aspect of Kamala Harris's upbringing that is very rarely talked about, and it has nothing to do with race. She grew up and was raised in another country.
Yeah.
And not on a military base in another country like John McCain or Dwight Eisenhower or anybody else. No. In Montreal, Canada, French Canada, Quebec, from the age, I believe, of 7 years old through high school, which are pretty formative years, she grew up in a non-American country, non-American culture. That is weird, isn't it? I mean, just that we don't talk about it.
We're not allowed to talk about anything.
I don't think we've ever had a person run for president who is literally raised in a foreign country.
Right. And I think it's important that you say that not on a military base,
right?
Because you're in America. When you're on a military base,
of course,
we were young.
You also don't have a choice but to live in that foreign country because you've dedicated yourself to the military.
Yeah,
her family
had a choice.
Voluntarily, proactively said, "We are going to Canada and we will raise our children in Canada." That's worthy. Is that also not noteworthy?
But again, it's noteworthy, especially because she is now, kind of talking in this
out here Baptist in the streets,
2024. She's got this Baptist preacher speech going on, kind of Hillary Clinton-esque, trying to.
Could be Quebecois.
It's not Quebecois.
Sounds very Celine Dion to me.
Again, it's relevant. All of these things are relevant because she is reinventing herself as this strong black woman.
That's right.
Right.
Beyonce is singing the music for her ads. No.
Right.
Here's the only takeaway to all of this, whether she's really black or she's Asian or she's Indian or what she leads with or whether she's Canadian or whether she's American or Californian. Who is Kamala Harris? She is completely inauthentic. That everyone said, "Oh, why are you making fun of her laugh?" We're making fun of her laugh because it's phony, because she's phony. She's fake. Kamala Harris is completely inauthentic. And the only way you get attention in talking about these issues is to rile up the mainstream media like Michael Smerconish, who now has to lecture us.